You are about to hear
today's news talk and the voice of freedom.
That's what this country's all about.
TNT Radio.
Right, okay, so Hitler's National Socialism, The Power of Capitalism, In Defense of Capitalism. These are all books written by my next guest, Dr. Rainer Zeitelmann. Hello, Rainer, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. I'm here in Berlin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Obviously, this is your first time on the Freeman Report, so welcome to the show. I wonder if you wouldn't mind starting by, I guess, telling us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you've written lots of books. You're a best-selling author. I think some of your books have been transcribed into 30 different languages. So you've clearly had a lot of success. Tell us about a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you. I've started as an historian, and till today, I'm an historian. And it's correct. Now, I wrote my 28th book, and they are translated in more than 30 languages now all over the world. And in the last 20 months, I traveled to 30 countries to talk about this topic in defense of capitalism. I've been different times in the United States, but also Latin America, Asia, and a lot of European countries. And it's always all about to explain people why capitalism is so important for us.
Yeah, I guess the first place to start then, Rainer, is do you think capitalism is under threat at the moment?
Absolutely. You see it all over the world. And I thought, for example, Latin America, the only place where we have now some hope is Argentina. We don't know whether Javier Milei will succeed, but all the other countries in Latin America, whether it's Brazil, even Chile, what was the most successful capitalist country, not to talk about Venezuela, Peru, all socialist, all red. Then if you look in China, China was very successful since the beginning of the 80s because Deng Xiaoping implemented private property and free market reforms, but now they go back with Xi Jinping in the direction of more state, more government, less market. And this is the same what happens in the United States. I don't have to tell you. You know it better than I do with Joe Biden, with his politics. More government, bigger government, more debt, more regulations, less capitalism. And in Europe, we have the same. For example, now they did a very crazy thing. They forbid the combustion machine. This made Germany so proud and successful, our Mercedes, BMW, and all this stuff. And I think it's ridiculous that voluntarily you forbid your most successful product or industry. But this is all, I call it a planned economy, because, you know, to understand the difference between a free market economy on the one hand and a planned economy on the other hand, it's very easy to understand. In a free market economy or capitalism, it's entrepreneurs who decide what to produce. In the end, it's consumers' choice. I call it democracy in the economy, because we decide every day who becomes rich and who not. And in a planned economy, politicians, they think they are smarter than everyone else. They think they are smarter than millions of consumers, millions of entrepreneurs, and they want to decide what kind of heater you should use, what kind of car you should drive. And this is what I call socialism. And so to answer your question, short, yes, capitalism is under attack all around the world.
I was going to save this question for later, but it seems quite appropriate to ask it at this point, Rainer. Capitalism, and would you agree with me that capitalism is the sort of one of the fundamental ingredients you need with that is meritocracy, whereby people, like you said, entrepreneurs and whatever, are kind of motivated by inventing the next thing or doing something better than everybody else. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. This is the motivational power. And, you know, especially in the United States, you have so many successful companies and successful entrepreneurs, and they are role models for other people but for, you know, for politicians and for the leftists, they are scapegoats. They are not role models. And absolutely, it's competition, and the best should win.
Exactly. I mean, I just wanted to confirm that first of all. So what do you think then? It's an interesting question, this. What do you think with the advent of AI? Because AI promises to do everything that humans can do and better. And I've pondered this question many times over the past few weeks of the impact this is going to have on meritocracy, because if a computer can do it better than a person, then suddenly, that meritocracy and the difference between, say, one person doing something better than everybody else kind of is wiped out. I do think it could have a big impact on how we, structure capitalism, how it works. What are your thoughts on this?
If you could choose now to be governed in the United States by Joe Biden, or by a artificial intelligence AI computer, what would you select, sir?
Yeah.
Who's smarter? I don't know. And yes, okay, I'm only joking. No, I think always people had fear about every new technology. I remember when I started to work here in Berlin at the Free University, and this was a time when they started with personal computers. And everyone was afraid that unions, they had protests and banners. Computers will destroy our, we will not need any assistant secretaries, and don't get with these computers and with personal. It didn't happen. We need always people to program this, this AI. It can't work by itself. I'm not so skeptical. Of course, you can use it for good things and for bad things. This is with a lot of things in the world. I think even when thousands of years the fire was, invented in a way by people, there was someone else who said, oh, it's dangerous, something can burn, we should forbid it, and so. And of course this can happen, and of course it's dangerous, but it helped us a lot. The same with nuclear energy, and of course with AI it's the same.
Yeah, no. I totally accept what you're saying there. But do you think, I guess my original question was, do you think that the advent of AI could affect our so-called meritocracy? I mean, we can argue a lot about whether we really live in a meritocracy. I've got my doubts, but I think there are elements of it. But that's what we aspire to. Do you think that AI could change that dynamic?
AI will be used first by companies, private people, and the second thing by the government. Of course, it can be dangerous if the government use it. But with private companies, I'm not so skeptical. They will use it if we have capitalism to have a bigger profit, and a bigger profit with or without AI is only possible if you serve more to the needs of the people, and if AI helps you and you get faster rich in this way. It's only possible in capitalism to go to the top, like, for example, Jeff Bezos, or like Larry Page or Sergey Brin or Elon Musk, if you have something what people really need.
Yeah. Okay, Rainer, that wasn't why I got you on the show to talk about, but it was just something that I've been pondering that I thought I'd put to you. Right, we're going to go to a break now, just a very quick break. When we come back, I'd like to talk about some of your books, particularly Hitler's National Socialism. Of course, I think what you revealed in that book is how actually Hitler's anti-capitalist ideas played a bigger role in his leadership of Germany than what people had given credit to before. So I'd like to talk all about that, and if there's any lessons for today in terms of what's going on in the world and parallels that you see from that book. So we'll be back in just a second, Rainer, right here on TNT.
Now's a good time to break the big news.
TNT Radio News.
Matt Boyland here with a look at your TNT headlines. China has slammed the newly formed AUKUS defence agreement between Australia, the UK and the US, warning the deal provokes military confrontation and could trigger a new nuclear arms race. NATO's chief Jens Stoltenberg's confirmed Ukraine used missiles supplied by the Western military bloc to attack Russia's warships in the Black Sea. And the Russian Navy has wrapped up joint drills with China and Iran in the Gulf of Oman.
Don't miss a thing. Be sure to download the TNT Radio app from either the Apple App Store or Google Play so you can easily listen live to us anywhere, anytime. Available right now to download, keeping you up to speed on TNT Radio.
Right now, Rainer, we've already talked about the fact that there are problems in the world, that there is this attack on communism. Tell us about your book, Hitler's National Socialism, and I guess importantly, are you seeing any parallels or lessons that we can take from that period of history that will help us make sense of what's going on today?
The first thing is the first lesson: don't think that very bad things like this National Socialism or any other kind of totalitarian system can't happen in your own country. Germany was a country with high culture, with Goethe and with a lot of, famous people and entrepreneurs and the democracy and everything. And people couldn't imagine that in a couple of years, all this was destroyed by Adolf Hitler. And what is the lesson? The lesson is, don't be so sure that it can't happen even in a developed country, even in a developed democracy. It's not like when the Bolsheviks, the communists, came to power in Russia. It was maybe a little bit different. They never had the democracy, not at this time, and they had no free market economy. But what happens, maybe a part of Hitler, I can give you a second example that is more close to our time. Venezuela. Venezuela in the 70s was one of the 20 richest countries in the world, one of the 20 richest countries. Richer than, for example, Italy and so in this time. And they had a democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and then they started with more and more regulation. I talked about this before. What we do now in the United States and in Europe, more and more government, more and more regulation. And of course, the situation became worse. And then they made a big mistake, the same mistake that my people made in my country where I live. They voted for Hugo Chavez in the end of the 90s. And he promised the socialism of the 21st century. So as Adolf Hitler promised the National Socialism. And when it started, for some people, it seemed a good thing. But then it took not a long time now to come back to Venezuela. They started with nationalization of companies, and they had an inflation rate some years ago, 1 million% a year. And today, 7.5 million people fled from Venezuela. This is 25% of the population. We don't talk here so much about it, but it's tragic. And the intellectuals, they were also enthusiastic about it. This is the socialism of 21st century. And there were, even in Adolf Hitler's time, some intellectuals who praised him. So in America, in Europe, we shouldn't think it can't happen to us because we have such a democracy and a culture, and so it can happen everywhere, anywhere, if you are not really, looking for the first things. Sometimes these things don't happen from one day to the next. They happen step by step. You lose freedom not overnight. You lose it step by step by step.
And do you think people in Germany in particular, I don't speak to many people from Germany on the show, but I'm intrigued to know what the people there think about recent events. Obviously, we saw the pipelines, the Nord Stream pipelines being bombed. I think it's pretty clear that wasn't Russia. I wouldn't like to say exactly which country, but I think it was a collaboration probably of the West. We've seen Germany's industry being pummeled at the moment. Lots of economic problems there. It doesn't seem to be that the country is working in the interest of Germans. What's your take of this?
Oh, I agree absolutely. This we have now in the government a Green Party and other left-wing party, but it didn't start there. It started with Angela Merkel. First, they let millions and millions of refugees in. You have the same problem now in the United States, but we had even much more, millions and millions of people coming from Africa, from Arab countries. And now, of course, the same thing as always. We have a much more developed welfare state in Germany. And I can understand the people. They come there and they get everything without working. They have a much higher standard of living. They got thousands of euros, like dollars, every month. And this is one problem. The other problem is that they made a very crazy energy policy. First, they phased out nuclear power plants. What, of course, is a crazy idea. If you believe in climate change as a big threat, you should have more nuclear power plants, not less nuclear power plants. So first they phased out nuclear power plants. Then they started to phase out coal power plants in Germany. Then they forbid fracking. Now they import fracking gas from the United States, LNG, what is of course great for the United States, but a crazy idea to forbid to do it in our own country, to import. And they even have to import dirty electricity from coal power plants in Eastern Europe, because they even destroyed now the last 3 nuclear power plants. So this is all crazy. And what it is about, it's the planned economy. The pretext today is the fight against climate change. But this is only the pretext. In reality, this is anti-capitalism. They want to destroy the free market economy. And all this climate change stuff is only a pretext. I can prove it, why it is. Look, we lived here in Germany in a separated country with East Germany socialist and West Germany capitalist. So you have a good comparison. And I did it. I have a chapter in my book, The Power of Capitalism. We have now a new edition out in this week, The Power of Capitalism. And I had a comparison between East and West Germany. And when you look, for example, CO2 emissions, they were 3 times higher in West Germany than in East Germany than in West Germany. And other air pollutants, like, for example, sulfur dioxide, were even 10 times higher. So if you think you can fight against environmental problems with a planned economy, it's crazy, it's stupid, because the worst problems in the environment were in the ex-socialist countries like East Germany or like the Soviet Union.
And quickly, because we are running out of time now, but do you think people in Germany are starting to wake up to what's going on, this attack on the free markets and the planned economy? Do you think people get it?
In a way, yes, but the problem is we have here a strong opposition party now, a right-wing party, and in some aspects I'm on their side if it is about migration policy, but on the other hand, they are very hard influenced by Putin, by Russia, and this is a special problem. But before, if you say we run out of time, here I want to tell you about one book that is published right now. This is How Nations Escape Poverty, and I think everyone should read it. This is a book that destroys some myths. For example, you can't fight poverty with development aid. The United States and Germany, we are the both countries who give most development aid for nothing, only for supporting of corrupt elite governments in Africa. But it doesn't help them. And what helps? I have 2 examples in my book. The first is Vietnam. Vietnam, they call themselves socialists and communists, but I can guarantee you, I've been there. It's easier to find a Marxist at a university in the United States than in Vietnam. They had socialism, they know what it is. And they started in the end of the 80s with free market reforms. And the number of people living in poverty decreased from 80% to 5%. The same happened in Poland, what was one of the poorest countries in Europe. And they started with capitalism. And, I don't like to speak so much about theory. These are real world examples, perfect examples. And I can recommend to everyone to give it to your children, that if teachers at school tell them such a shit that capitalism is to blame for all these things, here they have all the facts and the arguments why it isn't true what they tell them at school.
Fantastic insight there. Dr. Rainer Zittelmann, everyone. Rainer, you're going to have to come back on the Freeman Report because I have got so many more questions. I have got another guest waiting, though, so we'll have to get you back on again soon. But listen, thank you for being a champion of capitalism around the world. I do agree with you that it is under threat. And, you know, communism, we've got many lessons in history showing the devastating effect that planned economies have. So thank you very much, Rainer. Thank you. Hopefully we'll get you back on the show again soon.
I appreciate it. See you soon.
Will do. Right, okay, to the rest of you, don't go anywhere because after this short break, I'm going to have Christine Hart on the Freeman Report with me. Christine is an interesting lady. She became a private investigator at the age of 19. She was trained by a former MI6 officer. Got loads of questions for Christine about the British intelligence services, about private investigators, and she also worked at the heart of Fleet Street for ages. So I've got lots of questions about that. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned with us right here on TNT.
Our beautiful world is